Figuring out how you want to structure the membership agreements between you and your clients within your martial arts school or club can actually be one of the trickier components of the back-end work of running a school or club. Hi folks, I'm Paul from Martial Business Matters. Today we're discussing one of the principal distinctions in membership type, that is contracts versus month to month. Keep watching to find out my thoughts and some industry standards and best practices that may help guide you in setting up your membership agreements. Okay, so when you hear school owners and club managers talk about the difference between month-to-month agreements and contract agreements, what they're really talking about is the difference between ongoing membership agreements and term membership agreements. In either case, you actually do have a contract. You'll have either an ongoing contract or you'll have a term contract. And the only difference between the two is that in an ongoing contract, it is basically a continuation agreement. Like the agreement just never ends. It doesn't have an effective termination date. It has instead a termination clause which stipulates how the membership can actually be closed down or how the contract can actually be voided. With a term contract, what you're essentially looking at is the opposite of that. You're looking at something that does have a specified termination date. Now with many term contracts, you'll also have escape clauses, and I'll mention those as well. So that's really the difference. In either case, you have a contract. And so when you hear people talk about, oh, contracts are bad, we don't do contracts at my school, we don't do contracts at my club, or the opposite of that, I love contracts, we are 100% a contract-based school, understand that what they're really talking about is term-based agreements. And so right here on the board, contracts versus month-to-month, you can think about it like that. A month-to-month is something that's just ongoing until it is turned off. A contract is a term agreement with a specific end date. And we talk a little bit in the martial arts industry about which is better and why. Well, the short answer is they're both good for different reasons. And I just want to kind of paint a little bit of a picture for you. Let's say that you are a school that operates exclusively on month-to-month or ongoing agreements with your members, your students, your clients. And you do that because you like the idea that it's low impact, that it doesn't require any long-term commitment, et cetera, whatever your reasons. There's lots of good reasons to offer ongoing or month-to-month agreements. There's lots of good reasons not to, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But let's say that that is you. You are that person, that is your school. You do not do any type of term agreements. Everything is just a month-to-month or an ongoing relationship. Well, the challenge with that setup is that if you are exclusively month-to-month, if you are exclusively an ongoing relationship kind of business, then you have really nothing in the books as far as accounts receivable is concerned. So when we talk about business accounting, we have accounts payable, we have accounts receivable, we have accounts outstanding, et cetera, et cetera. Accounts receivable is money that you know is coming in or money that you expect to be coming in based on some sort of contractual agreement, some sort of promise. And if all of your student population is in the category of ongoing membership agreements, they're ongoing contracts month to month, then you don't actually have accounts receivable in your tuition base for the month after this one or the month after that. You can write projections. You can say, well, based on my average student count, my average active count, the number of people who drop out on an average basis, what we call attrition, then I can reasonably assume what my income should be next month and the month after that and the month after that. But I don't actually have accounts receivable for those things. I have hopes and dreams. And as I am fond of saying to my coaching clients, we don't live in the wonderful world of Disney. Dreams don't always come true. And so the absence of any type of contractually backed accounts receivable is actually a huge weakness in your business structure if you're that type of a school. Now, there are schools out there who operate just fine on on a wing and a prayer and ongoing relationships and month-to-month agreements. Some of them have been in business for decades, and that's how they've always done business, and probably how they always will do business, in spite of evidence to the contrary that that's not such a good idea. And that's fine. That works for them. I'm talking, of course, in my video series, I'm talking about best standards, gold standards, best practices, things like that. And it's logic, right? It's a simple game of logic. If 100% of your incoming tuition is based on a handshake, a verbal agreement, a promise, a wing and a prayer, and all you're really calculating your projections on is the hope that your attrition isn't higher next month than it was this month or it was historically, then you're not really running yourself a business, you're running a club. You're running a club. And the difference between a business and a club often comes down to the enforceability of contractual agreements. But I'll probably do an entire video about that somewhere down the road. Point being, and I'll kind of paint a more tangible example. Let's say that that's you, and you one day take a look around your school, your club, and you say, you know, some of this equipment that we're using is a little bit dated. It's really starting to show its age. There's only so much that duct tape can do to hold the raft together. It's probably time to start investing in some new WaveMasters or whatever the case may be. And so the way you would do that is you would take a look at your student population and you would figure on average, based on how many students you have, this is how many WaveMasters or hanging bags I need to properly run my school. And based on how many students I have and how much money is coming in, these are how many WaveMasters I can afford to buy for my school. And you take a look around and you do those numbers real quickly in your head and you say, okay, well, based on that information, I should probably order myself 10 new WaveMasters. I'll order those WaveMasters, they'll get shipped in, and I'll get them up on the floor next week. Okay, so that's the scenario. Tomorrow, 20 students drop out. Not because they hate you, not because anything happened on the floor that caused them to have pause about what they were doing with their time and their money in your school. It's just random occurrence. We're not even painting a picture of some catastrophe. It's just, 20 students decided to drop out the very next day, the day after you place that order. Well, now you're in a situation where you have purchased far more WaveMasters than you actually need, and you purchased those WaveMasters with money you don't actually have, because you purchased those WaveMasters on the expectation that tuition was going to be coming in. And now, hopefully, with me painting that picture, you see the fragility of an arrangement like that. On the flip side, let's say that you are a school owner or a club manager and contracts are all you do. You exclusively do 6, 9, 12-month term contracts with all of your student population, with all of your clients. Well, that isn't a weakness in itself, but it does create other challenges within your business. Primarily, you are more or less, whether you realize it or not, completely washing away the possibility of enrolling, say, for example, military families. Right? Mom or dad is in the military and they want something for their kids to be involved in while they're stationed here. They're not going to be willing to sign a 12-month or 24-month or 36-month contract with the martial arts school because they don't know where they're going to be deployed. Another example, a kid who is with, say, one parent for the months of June, July, and August every year, and then they're with another parent on the other side of the country the entire rest of the year. Think of a split custody arrangement where this particular person who's going to be your client, say mom or dad, whichever the case may be, they only have custody of that child. That child is only in their control for 3 months out of the year. They're not going to sign a 12-month contract with you. They're not going to sign a 6-month contract with you, 9 months, anything, because that type of arrangement simply does not work for them. It doesn't work. And you can dive into your creativity zone and come up with scenarios like this for yourself. The point being, if you exclusively offer contracts, only term membership agreements, whether it's 3, 6, 9, 12, whatever months, then you are by default cutting away some of the potential clients that might otherwise enroll themselves or their children or their families in your school. So what should the magic number be? What should the ratios look like? Well, in a healthy school, in a strong and stable school, you should offer both. You should offer both term agreements and ongoing agreements. You should offer both contracts and month-to-month arrangements. Because at least in that scenario, you are capturing the widest possible audience for your programs generally. But as far as how many should be in this category and how many in this should be in this category, well, it's obvious. You should obviously have more students in the quote-unquote contract category, the term-based membership category, than you do in the ongoing category. Because as I already said, if you don't have tangible accounts receivable, if you don't have something that's contractually backed, obligating somebody to hand you money next month or the month after that or the month after that, then you don't actually have accounts receivable. You don't. You have wings and prayers, hopes and dreams, and those don't pay the bills. You have to remember the law of attrition. Everybody quits. You just don't know when. And you really don't want somebody to take you by surprise, but more importantly, take your operating budget by surprise by quitting. So you have to have that kind of baked in protection. And I want to take a moment right here just to talk about why. This is, as much as it sounds selfish, this is not selfish. This is in no way selfish or self-serving. In fact, ensuring that the majority of your student population is held under some sort of term agreement is not specifically a protection for you. It's a protection for your school. It's a protection for your club. Now, obviously, if you're paying yourself from your school or your club, it's protecting your bottom line, it's protecting your pocketbook. But that's not why we do it this way. We do it this way to protect the school and the club, because only if the school or club is on a firm foundation are the students protected. Now, I'll take you back just a minute in my personal history. I have been a student at a martial arts school that closed down unexpectedly because they weren't running their numbers right. And I will tell you, just from my personal history, my personal experience, anecdotal evidence, that that was absolutely devastating to my career as a young martial artist. Basically, I woke up one day, checked my voicemail, and the voicemail said, "Hey, school closed down, can't afford it." And that was it. And I always told myself as a business owner that I would never put my own students or my own clients in a similar situation. But believe it or not, if you're running exclusively on month-to-month or ongoing agreements, that is the situation you're putting your students in. That is the situation you're putting your clients in. You just haven't realized it yet. You are one bad month away from the school closing down just because more students dropped out than you expected them to. That is no way to run a business. That's no way to run a school. That's no way to run a club. That's no way to run anything. You have a responsibility to your students and clients to ensure that the doors are open tomorrow, the day after, the week after, the month after, and next year. And if you aren't creating systems that make that not only possible, but probable, then you are failing your students and your clients. Because maybe that scenario never actually plays out, but it always could. It is the sword of Damocles hanging above your head. One bad month, school closes down. One bad month, school closes down. And when I say bad month, I don't mean like in terms of retail sales or new enrollments. I mean in terms of an unexpected number of people just dropping off. You can protect against that. You can create systems that correct for that and make it not a problem now or in the future. So you have the contracts. It's for the students. It's for the school. It's not for you directly. You benefit from it. Just like any other student, just like any other client at the school benefits from the contracts. but it's not for you. It's for the school. And as far as the ongoing thing, yeah, you should have those. You should have some ongoing opportunities. Now, in order to prevent the vast majority of people from signing up for the ongoing opportunity, you can either make it an off-the-books offer, where you only extend an ongoing opportunity to somebody after they express in no uncertain terms that the term agreement simply will not work for them. Or you could simply just make it a much more expensive offer. And that's what we do at my school. We call it our Flex membership. And our Flex membership is $100 a month more than our non-Flex membership. So our ongoing contract, the month to month, it's a 14-day notice to cancel. Our ongoing contract is $100 more a month than the term-based agreement. So if they're spending $180 a month over here on the 1-year term-based contract, that same membership would cost them $280 a month as a month-to-month option, as an ongoing option. And in that way, we kind of artificially force people over into the contract category and keep them away from the ongoing category. And that's one option as well. So that's it. Contracts versus month to month? I don't really think so. I don't really think it should be contracts versus month to month, because I think that a healthy, good, stable school should have both. So I think it really should be contracts and month to month. And that way you're not only capturing the largest possible audience, but you're also providing what your audience is looking for, and you're also protecting the school, you're protecting the students in your school, you're protecting yourself. It's a simple and happy byproduct that contracts also help substantially reduce attrition. Contracts also improve student relations because they know that they're there anyway and they might as well come in with a smile on their face. Contracts do a lot of other subtle things that help benefit the school and benefit the general population with the school, but I think there's room for both in any stable, happy school, and I think that they should be used together. But again, the vast, vast, vast majority of your student population should be on contracts just for the health and stability of your school. That's all I got, folks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, ring the little bell so that you don't miss future updates. And remember, you watch Marshall Business Matters because Marshall Business matters. Take care.